Good morning. Welcome to the forecast discussion for March 7th, 2013. It's currently 8:30 a.m. and we finally have snow moving into portions of Long Island, Connecticut, and the New York City metro, even coastal New Jersey. Of course, temperatures, as I warned, are not exactly the coldest, with temperatures ranging from the lower to mid 30s, and that means accumulation has pretty much been limited to the grass and maybe a few untreated roadways with a trace to about an inch of snow on the ground. As far as the storm thus far, pretty much a bust around Philadelphia. I was hoping for 3 inches of snow before that marine air mass really started to build in and change everything over to rain. But even that was not fast enough as the snow rapidly changed over to rain, if any snow at all fell in your location in southeastern Pennsylvania. And that led to, well, almost no snow over portions of southeastern Pennsylvania. Meanwhile, Washington, D.C., well, that's even a worse forecast. Well, there were some forecasts of around 6 to 12 inches, and they got nothing. Absolutely nothing but rain and wet snow that melted on the pavement. So, as I had warned, the marine air mass really did its job here in warming up the atmosphere. For this afternoon, look for temperatures to rise into the lower 40s over the northern interior, mid to upper 40s over the coast, mid 40s in the New York City metro, mid to upper 40s in the Philadelphia metro. Any precipitation that's rotating through will change over to rain for this afternoon, but tonight could be pretty interesting, especially in the Hudson River Valley and around Connecticut. I'll talk about that in just a moment. Here's the latest radar. You can see bands of precipitation rotating back. Right now they're falling as snow, but snow flurries and some light accumulation in snow, a moderate band right here. But again, as temperatures continue to rise, as the marine air mass continues to infiltrate the northern mid-Atlantic, we'll see that precipitation change over to rain gradually throughout the morning. Taking a look at the latest infrared satellite picture, clearly you can see this is a very dynamic storm. Now, one key point here. This storm ended up further south. And the reason why is because of the blocking I was discussing the past couple of days, suppressing this storm. So this is why I never really went with these really aggressive snowfall totals that were out there, especially for Connecticut and Long Island, mostly because the track of this storm would lead to a very strong easterly wind. That easterly wind would transport a lot of warm air and also keep the best lifting off the coast, and that's exactly what has happened. But this disturbance here is something to keep an eye on. Now, let me go show you the water vapor satellite picture. You see this right here? This disturbance is going to interact with this upper level low. And that leads to a stretching of the atmosphere. And what could form is a deformation zone or inverted trough. Some might call it a Norlon trough if you get enough instability in the atmosphere. But I'm also noticing a lot of marine air, a lot of moisture here being transported, thrown up into New England. And so if you have a northerly wind and you have a warmer air mass up in New England, we're going to be dealing with, for a very unique time period, a actual warmer air mass being pushed into the northern mid-Atlantic from the north. So a northerly wind doesn't exactly mean colder temperatures in this case, because you have even more moist air, even more Atlantic type air mass building into New England rather than the northwesterly wind that's importing a moderate polar air mass over the Philadelphia, New York City metropolitan area, which is creating the coldest temperatures thus far for this storm. So a very unique situation. Now, when I look at the NAM model guidance, okay, let's say this evening, my concern here with this forecast, and I'm going to show you the snowfall map here, is this disturbance right here and this disturbance here are going to interact here. And there's going to be an area of very strong lifting. And I'm concerned about dynamic cooling developing, especially over the Hudson River Valley and over Connecticut. This is going to be a hit or miss type situation. I think most locations are going to be on the low side of what I'm forecasting, but I'm very concerned with this type of interaction. You get a very strong band of heavy snow that develops. And the reason why I'm concerned about that is because the stretching of the winds here, going from basically east to west here, west to southeast here, and that leads to a stretching or pulling of the atmosphere, kind of like taffy. And when you get that type of environment developing, it could, especially with temperatures falling below freezing, produce a period of moderate to heavy snowfall. So, as far as the snowfall forecast, Again, for the Philadelphia metropolitan area and much of central and southern New Jersey, this is not much of a threat. If anything, maybe a trace of snow, 2 inches if you somehow get into one of those heavier snow showers, but really it's a non-issue down here. For the New York City metropolitan area, basically I'm looking at 2 or 3 inches of snow, if that. Okay, about 2 to 3 inches of snow over Long Island, New York City. This 6 inch and this 4 inch potential here is only if you get one of those very intense bands moving right over your location, which some mesoscale models show. I think the potential of this happening is very low, but it needs to be addressed just in case. But again, most locations around 2 or 3 inches of snow. Further north over northern Connecticut and over the central Hudson River Valley, again, I think most locations are around 5 inches of snow. But again, you have to keep an eye on one of those strong bands developing, just sitting up right over your location in any of these areas right here. So as a result, yes, that's why I'm going 5 to 10 inches. I think this 10 inches has a very small chance of happening, but it needs to be addressed just in case. But again, most locations I'm expecting around 5 inches of snow with a moderate to heavy band developing this evening into the overnight hours. And then by tomorrow, as this band drops south, we'll actually see more and more mixing of the snow with the rain as more marine air mass builds in and our temperatures rise into the 40s. And by tomorrow afternoon, this will be a distant memory with temperatures in the mid to upper 40s throughout much of the Philadelphia and New York City metropolitan area. And then this weekend is looking really nice. So just to stress, again, look towards the low end of all these scales here. A trace, 2 inches around New York City, 3 inches around northern New Jersey and around the northeastern Pennsylvania, much of Connecticut, and then maybe 5 inches over portions of northern Connecticut and the Hudson River Valley. And the higher totals are only if one of those bands that is expected to develop tonight really explodes. And again, this is only because you're dealing with a very dynamic setup with this upper level disturbance coming in from the west, and you really don't want to let your guard down with these type of developments, especially when you have a little bit colder air to deal with than what we've been dealing with this storm. Once the storm exits, again, by tomorrow evening, you're dealing with this disturbance moving through. This disturbance exits by tomorrow evening. Here we have the storm off the coast. We have a nice ridge starting to build in. Warmer conditions start to take hold by tomorrow afternoon. For this weekend, look for mild conditions. We're talking about temperatures in the mid to upper 50s, pushing into the lower 60s in some locations. It's going to be a beautiful weekend with temperatures in the mid 50s to 60, 61 degrees in southern and central New Jersey, Philadelphia metropolitan area. Spring will be here in full effect. That will continue on through Monday with tranquil weather conditions. Now Tuesday afternoon to Tuesday evening, look for periods of heavy rain with a powerful cold front. Ahead of the cold front, temperatures in the mid 50s to lower 60s once again. But then those temperatures will crash in the evening and fall through the 40s and into the upper 30s. And then by Wednesday, we basically fall back to near normal temperatures with highs in the mid to upper 40s expected, lows in the lower to mid 30s. Not too bad for this time of year, but certainly back to a little bit more of a normal type March weather pattern with a strong upper level low sitting up around Quebec and colder weather conditions. But keep an eye on this ridge. It's going to shift towards the east, and we're going to warm up back again into the mid 40s to lower 50s for the rest of next week and into next weekend. So no major storms after this storm exits. We actually move back into more of a spring-like pattern with comfortable weather conditions for this weekend. That is your forecast discussion for today. Of course, I'm your meteorologist, Stephen DiMartino. I'll be following this threat for this evening with this potential inverted trough that develops this evening for the region. You can see that at nynjpaweather.com and nynjpaweather on Twitter and Facebook. Have a wonderful day. Stay safe out there.